Who are your intellectual and business heroes, and
Sure.
how do you identify yourself, kind of ideologically, or how do you, what do you call yourself?
I'd say pragmatist,
Hmm.
technologist. And I, for the most part, try to decline any kind of political or
Hmm.
ideological label outside of those. Um, for many reasons. One is that, you know, uh, like I do believe in the ability of technology to improve the world. And I would like to have the largest possible coalition behind something like that. And I think that ideological and political labels tend to repel more than they tend to attract. And whereas a new technology, you don't need to be a Republican or Democrat to buy cryptocurrency or use ride sharing or stay in an Airbnb. And in fact, many of the earliest adopters are Democrats, actually,
Hmm.
like at least nominally. So it wouldn't be, even if it's like arguably like
Right.
like anti-regulation or what have you.
There was various moments in the 2016 campaign where Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, both of whom talked down the sharing economy or the gig
Mm.
economy, but they almost exclusively took Uber or ride-sharing companies to campaign events.
The ideal is to get something which is so useful as a technology that even people who might disagree with certain aspects of it ideologically, nevertheless, it
Mhm.
improves their lives, right? And so at least the way I try to identify is I'm a technologist who wants to build things that improve people's lives. I think I was able to do that with my first company. Hopefully, we can do that with this and other ventures.
Who, yeah, I mean, you have a PhD in electrical
Electrical engineering,
engineering.
yes.
Yeah. So, who are the egghead heroes of your life? Who are the technologists that you look up to?
Srinivasan Ramanujan, India's greatest mathematician. He's got a kind of a romantic story in India because he's sort of the combination of the Einstein there, like smart guy, but also a rags to quote riches story. Even though he didn't get rich, he was truly destitute in India and was able through pure genius to actually become a mathematician at Cambridge
Hmm.
and publish a number of papers. And he died in a young way, very romantically. And he's somebody who motivates me because one of the things I'd like to do at some point in the future is have like a worldwide talent search for all these kids around the world in South America, Nigeria, in the Middle East, and Eastern Europe, and India, and China, who, for a reason, the 20th century like missed out on them or missed out on their parents, and so now they could actually, with the internet, have the opportunity to rise. So that's one person who I think about a lot. Second person, Lee Kuan Yew. So not
Hmm.
necessarily a scientist per se,
Right.
but
This
definitely
is the father of Singapore.
father of Singapore.
Yeah.
That's right. A pragmatist who, if you read his, he's written a lot. He gave a bunch of interviews. He had a great book, Third World to First, and that's literally what he did. He took a country that was, really had no natural resources or any advantages. It was a swampy kind of land. It was a post-colonial society. It was riven by language. It had all these different, ethnic groups there that weren't necessarily all that friendly. And he turned it into, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And so the choices he made there, I think, are really interesting to look at because Lee Kuan Yew you would not describe as easily pigeonholed as libertarian or conservative or socialist or
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he
nationalist.
actually mixes from a lot because he was definitely for economic freedom, also kind of authoritarian, but also kind of socialistic in
Yes,
the level of government services that are provided by
that's right.
Singapore.
Like Singapore's HSA is simultaneously both to the right and to the left of the United States. So the HSA there, the way it works is you are forced to save in a separate savings account, which is to the left of the US because
Hmm.
it's not just a tax, it's like a forced savings account. But then you can spend in a completely free market way from that forced savings account. So that's like to the right of the American system because it's no insurance or
Hmm.
it doesn't work in the same way. So it's just something which is sort of outside the bounds. And that's something I think about a lot in the context of startups, for example, because startups have like a combination of both right and left aspects, right, or classically right and
Right.
left aspects. They have some degree of hierarchy. They have capitalism. They have funding and runway and profit. All those kinds of metrics, obviously, which are typically right of center metrics. But they work in large part because they're egalitarian. They're mission driven. They have informal attire. They have a screw the man attitude. And the best ones actually genuinely perpetuate or accomplish a revolution, right? And that's definitely not a right of center thing. That's
Hmm.
not respect the existing hierarchy, et
Do
cetera.
you think